see, because so the only way to stamp out the noise, the white noise, the only way to really stamp it out is to address it head on. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna address some of this head on. I've talked to and they said, well, man, Rico, he surrendered the surveillance footage of the studio that led to the arrest of a Pee Wee Roscoe as it specifically relates to the shooting of Lil Wayne's bus. I had to tell me that. So I asked these for the paperwork, and I preambled the conversation with, hey, listen, man, you know the consequence of putting that bone on the, you know the consequence of saying a motherfucker bogue or saying a snitch or a rat, and you ain't got the documentation to prove it. If you was in a prison yard, pop your ass, chase you off the yard. That's one. Number two, it's a unique problem going on here in Atlanta where you have who, according to Loon from It's Up There podcast, Loon is one of the main champions of all these from Atlanta who have been caught violating the same principles and laws and ordinances of the streets that they have been preaching and promoting for the last 10, 15 years. We know now, according to 21 Savage, right? We know now that they have been covering up the misbehavior and misgivings of some of Atlanta's top hip-hop artists and hip-hop managers and label owners, all for one reason and one reason only. And that was to save face for the city of Atlanta, right? And to present the city of Atlanta as something that it wasn't, and to hide the fact that you got all these goddamn rats around here. So my thing is to you is, I gotta ask this question. With all these who done told on shit, with all these who done shook trial, with all these who we saw Fanny parade in front of the world on TV, all these who are the biggest rats on the YSL trial, they all free. So why, and they all free. We watched them tell. We seen them tell. We heard them tell. We saw the interrogation footage, and we saw these niggas stand and point the fingers and tell and cooperate with the police and the DA's version of the story. So why is ignoring all this rat, but they trying to focus on you, and ain't no paperwork to justify none of this they saying? How we get from all these who certified stump down master splinter ass to the same who trying to push this fake ass the streets movement are still using their underlings to try to get at you? Why do hate you so much?
Well, because I'm an outlier. You know what I'm saying? If I'm not moving around with the motion of what's going on, and I'm not just going, and I'm not just agreeing, and I'm not just substantiating what everybody else is doing, and I got my own voice, and I got my own mind, and I got my own process, and I got my own integrity and character in a way to take care of myself and my family, and I take pride in standing on my 10 the way I stand on my 10. When you're that person, you an easy target because you an outlier.
Let me translate that for you, right? Because the average dumb as a box of rocks. So translation is, because you ain't no rat and you ain't no fanboy of these rap, right? And you ain't no eater, whole they don't like you.
All of these ain't rats. All of them aren't. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
a couple of them. It's a couple of them that verify.
Hey, listen. At this point, Atlanta.
Okay. So look.
Hey, listen.
I see what you're saying. So what you're saying is once you start to try to protect rats.
That's what I'm saying. And at this point, fuck Atlanta and fuck all these.
Fuck Atlanta though.
Okay. So let me say it again. Let me say it again for you. At this point, all these hoe-ass rap niggas who are trying to pick and choose and practice selective politic and selective gangsterism. Fuck all these.
But the Atlanta part.
Hey, listen. If the city of Atlanta, if the real stump down street, the rap don't run.
But
right?
Saying to
so
you,
listen. Here, no. That I'm telling you. So the who have been presented as the representation of the streets, it just so happens are some of the biggest rappers and some of the biggest producers in the city. It just so happens. You can't negotiate.
No, but it's not just so happens though, because that's what I'm trying to tell you. everybody has been led to believe that the rappers are street. No, that's not the case. They're rappers.
So, here's a problem though. The problem is, let's educate the youth. Then let's have that conversation.
Right.
Let's listen. First of all, to the untrained ear and the untrained eye, young black men and women see black men and women who obtain a degree of success through music, right? And these same people who have obtained success through music, they have presented themselves as the kings of the streets. And with the YSL trial, we see these ain't just rappers. These is really street, or else they would have found themselves sitting in Rice Street somewhere. So there's been the fusing together of rap artists and street. If that's not the case, you wouldn't have had YFN versus YSL. And what I'm telling you is, the niggas in the city of Atlanta who are at the top of the rap pole, at the rap totem pole, these are also just coincidentally so, these are the toughest street. The world don't know nothing about Lil Boo Boo over Cleveland Ave. The world don't know nothing about that. The world thinks that 21 Savage, Young Thug, YFN Lucci, the world thinks that these are the biggest gangsters in the history of this city. And so we're going to run with that. We ain't going to take it from them because that's what they presented. They presented the gangster image along with the music. So I'm asking you, why aren't more who know your situation, who have power and influence, their voice means something? It's the reason why Big Bank interviewed Thug. It's the reason why Big Bank interviewed what's the other name? 21 Savage, right? And you don't have J Bone and Little Money Mook Mook and these over here off. You ain't got them. You got rap on the biggest platforms in the world explaining to the world about what's going on in the streets. So we can't dissociate the top rappers from what's going on in the street, because the top rappers in this city have transformed themselves into superheroes from a street perspective. 21 Savage is a voice of reason for the streets. Young Thug was a voice of reason for the streets. The reason why we call him Gunna a rat is because Young Thug allowed it to happen, and then he came out and said it himself. And we now know through the leaked jail phone calls that he was behind the scenes orchestrating all this shit. So I'm telling you right now, these in Atlanta, they are guilty of covering up rat-like behavior. They're guilty of doing and saying whole shit. And they're also guilty of playing games with lives like yours. So in the last 24 hours, I've talked to lead investigators. I've talked to your lawyer who